Lucas Zhang, the Warriors could use another big guy. Should they sign Kai Sotto or give him a shot? I'll tell you this about Kai Sotto. I had named him an NBA draft sleeper. I've watched some of the international tape of when he was playing at the NBL level in Australia, which is one of the best international leagues in the world. He's a solid player. Now, I understand why he didn't get drafted. My prediction was that he was not going to get selected. But for a 20-year-old big who has a nice array of skills, I think that Kai Sotto belongs on an NBA roster. Look, if Taco Fall Boban Marjanovic can play in the NBA, I think Kai Sotto can as well. Solid shot blocker, solid athlete. He's developing that outside shot. Him on the Warriors, I know with that Filipino audience on Warriors today, they would love it. There's no question about that. I was surprised that he elected not to play NBA Summer League. They broke records for daily audiences of 11,000 people in Las Vegas. Display your skills in front of national television audience and in front of people and show that you're worthy of playing at the NBA level. There's no way that Kai Sotto didn't have opportunities to play in the NBA Summer League. For him to not take on those opportunities, I didn't like it. But Kai Sotto on any team in the NBA, he could be a solid tryout option or two-way deal. Jake Turtle. John Stamos knew the Warriors would win. You think they would go back-to-back, or they will go back-to-back? They have the talent, they have the roster, they have the coaching and the general manager to go back-to-back. And if they want to make a trade to upgrade the roster, they have pieces in which they can use to upgrade the roster. So I think a matchup in the finals against the Bucks would be problematic. In the West, Clippers could be a tough matchup. Nuggets will improve. Suns are always really good. Dallas Mavericks led by Luka. Portland Trailblazers are going to improve. Lakers, if they change the roster and improve it a little bit, things are going to be interesting in the West, but I'm going with the Warriors because that's the dynasty of this generation. How about this one coming in from Drake's Ghostwriter? That's a good username right there. What do you think about the potential of James Wiseman after watching him in the NBA Summer League? I think the potential is tantalizing. The potential is enormous. James Wiseman showed flashes of what he can become during his NBA Summer League stint, where he played 4 consecutive games, looked spry, looked athletic, and looked healthy. 10.5 points per game, 5.5 boards, 2 blocks per game as well. He was making an impact on both ends of the floor during 20 minutes of action. Now, the fouls were a little bit of an issue, and a lot of people have hit me up about that. How can we get, from a Warriors standpoint, James Wiseman to stop fouling? I don't really care about that. This is a guy who played 4 games at Memphis during his freshman year, played about half the season during his rookie campaign, didn't play at all in his sophomore campaign, and only played a couple of games in his rehabilitation process with the Santa Cruz Warriors, and then plays 4 games at the G League level. This guy just had to get his feet wet. This guy just had to get on the floor and play competitive 5-on-5 against different teams other than just his teammates, and he has just so much potential. Defensive switches, defensive rim protection, elbow, baseline J, look pretty comfortable shooting some three-pointers as well. Where I think he can be lethal with the Warriors alongside Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, is as a screen and roller, because defenses are going to have to get out to the three-point arc to guard that three-point shot. Keep in mind, Draymond can pass off that pick and roll as well. And then James Wiseman going to the hoop. If defenses go out to Steph or Klay on that three-point shot, he's going to be left vacant on the dash to the cup. That's where James Wiseman can really be utilized. Now, if you're a Warriors fan, I want you to grade how the Warriors have performed so far this offseason on a scale of A, B, C, D, or F. But either way, if it's not the Warriors, grade your team's offseason so far on that scale. Get those red pens out. We start off this mailbag with this question coming in from Chua Lore. Should the Warriors go out and sign LaMarcus Aldridge? Chua, it's an interesting question. LaMarcus Aldridge still available on the NBA free agency market, and frankly, put up some pretty solid numbers with the Brooklyn Nets last year. About 13 points per game. Obviously, defensively, not the player that he once was, and offensively, there has been a drop-off in his game. You take a look at the numbers that he was able to produce last year for Brooklyn, a playoff team, nearly 13 points per, 5.5 rebounds, a block per night, 55% shooting. Obviously, you don't want him playing a ton of minutes, but the Warriors, in that front court, you have Kevon Looney as well as James Wiseman. Do you need a third backup big who can come in add to the championship pedigree, add to the championship culture, and could that be LaMarcus Aldridge? If it's a cheap deal, then I wouldn't hate it, but I think he does go elsewhere because I think he'll be able to get more playing time with another squad. Now, I want to put you to the test here in the comment section. I want you to name a player that could become a first-time All-Star at the NBA level in 2022-2023. Who's it going to be? Let us know right now. My vote, Tyrese Maxey. Mason Gunnarsson. Who would you say are the top 10 players in the NBA? Good timing with this question because I just got together with producer Coop just for fun, and I just wanted to put together my top 10 list of NBA players. Last year I did the same, and the list has changed dramatically from a year ago. So these are my current top 10 players in the NBA. I'm going Giannis 1 because I think in a playoff series, nobody can stop him. He's the most physically dominant, and somehow he continues to get better and better year after year, and he's the best player on both ends who nobody in the league can really stop. And number 2, it's Steph Curry. Some people might argue that. How do you argue it when he's won 4 championships, tied with LeBron James, just won his first NBA Finals MVP, probably should be 2, and in the playoff series, he can be your go-to guy, bail you out offensively, great leader, underrated defensive player, and in the NBA Finals, if it weren't for him, the Warriors would have been cooked. Number 3, Kevin Durant, still elite. LeBron James last year could have won the scoring title if he didn't miss more time. He was right there with Joel Embiid. Luka Doncic, bona fide number 5 guy. No team wants to see him in a playoff series. Just led the Mavericks to the Western Conference Finals. He's a problem, and if he's in better shape, look out. Number 6, Joel Embiid. I think he's better than the Joker. I understand that the Joker has won back-to-back MVPs, and Embiid has finished second both years, but I think that Embiid is more dominant. Kawhi Leonard at number 8. He's missed a lot of time with injuries. He could be higher, but he's lower on this list because of those injuries. But he was playing at such a great level before that partially torn ACL in the playoffs 2 years ago. If he doesn't go down, like the Clippers could have won the NBA championship. At number 9, Jimmy Butler. Yes, in the regular season, his numbers are down. In the playoffs, though, this guy is one of the best big game performers, and I think he's maybe the most underrated player in the NBA. And sneaking in at number 10, edging out Jason Tatum, is Ja Morant. Injury concerns with him moving forward, a little bit of a concern. The consistency of Jason Tatum might be more, but Ja Morant, he has so much upside and so much potential. That is my top 10 list. Let me know what you think of it in the comment section. We begin with this one coming in from Evan Hinders, one of our loyal subscribers. Be like Evan and subscribe to the channel today. Magic trade Jonathan Isaac for Patrick Williams, and they swap first-round picks. Jonathan Isaac is coming off an injury-plagued season. Patrick Williams missed a lot of last year. Jonathan Isaac, I'm pretty high on him. Really good athlete who I think figures in nicely to the Magic's plans. If I were to want one on my team, if I were building a roster, probably would actually go Patrick Williams, though. I think he's the better defender, maybe more of a reliable three-point shooter, but I don't think you can go wrong with either Jonathan Isaac or Patrick Williams, 2 very good young players. I think the big thing there, Evan, as you put your GM hat on, it's the first-round pick swap. Who would you rather have over the next 5 years? Operating under the premise and knowing that Kevin Durant, 34 years old, KD for Kevin Durant, DM for Donovan Mitchell. A lot of people are going to go KD. If you go DM, I like the boldness there. Rumpel, I'm not even going to say the last name. It's very interesting. Cavaliers fan, it looks like. Will Colin Sexton be traded before the trade deadline? Will he go back to the Cavaliers? Like, how are teams not investing and making calls on Colin Sexton, who can give you really solid guard play offensively and average about 20, 24 points per game? Sexton, he's become underrated and under-talked about. I think he's a really solid player. His lack of value throughout this offseason has really shocked me. Now, I think the Cavs might bring him back to see if him and Garland work, because if they do, that's a problem in the East for other teams. If it doesn't work out, then yeah, you trade him away and you get some really good value back to continue to surround Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Jarrett Allen, and some of the other good pieces on that team. Sam with this one, will John Collins get traded? If so, where and what can the Hawks get back? John Collins is a solid player. He's actually on a pretty decent deal. He got that deal last year, which pays him between $20, $25 million. I forget exactly what he's getting paid. But for a player who can give you 15 to 20 points per game, block shots, throw down some oops, play some good defense, insane athlete, offer some value. You can get some picks back. You can get some solid players back. Just curious what the Hawks' plan is. They traded away 2 shooters in Gallinari as well as Kevin Huerter. I understand that, you bring in DeJounte Murray, and that's awesome and all. Does it mean that they want to play DeAndre Hunter a little bit more? Who's a good young player? Maybe, but I'm just confused by what the Hawks are doing. They could look to trade away John Collins as well. Jarrell, the Jazz are on the rebuilding mode. What about Jordan Clarkson? Look, if they trade away Donovan Mitchell, I think they could trade away Jordan Clarkson. I think they could trade away some of the other pieces on that roster. That would signal a full rebuild. And if I'm rebuilding a franchise and I trade away D-Mitch, I trade away Rudy Gobert, I'm trying to just do what OKC has done, stockpile a bunch of young talent, get some future draft picks, and rebuild organically, especially for a team in Utah that's in a smaller market. It's not really a destination free agent city where big-time free agents want to go to, so you're kind of forced to build within the draft. I think that's the best route for Utah, and if you're rebuilding, why not trade away Jordan Clarkson, who's one of the best 6-man scorers in the NBA, to get players back or get picks back? Before we wrap up this mailbag, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. By doing so, you stay in the know with all things NBA, NFL, and college football with multiple videos per day, and you get to join in on our mailbags, youtube.com/chatsportstv, or just hit that red sub button.